What is going on, everybody? My name is Dakota, and welcome back to Cologne. Today, we are going to be looking at and reviewing Azzaro's Most Wanted Intense EDP. Let's get into it. Alright, now that fall is in full effect, it is time to start busting out the heavier, the sweeter, the gourmand, whatever kind of wordplay you want to put on it. It's time to start busting out the big, thick, heavy fragrances. And this is one of them that I'd always had a sample of. I never really got a bottle, and I just picked up a bottle the other day. But as we always like to do, we are going to start off with showing off the Atomizer. And this Atomizer in particular, especially for the Azzaro line, is really good. Not a whole lot comes out necessarily, but it's got a really good burst. Some of my other Azzaro atomizers just kind of spit the fragrance out. This one actually holds like a really good center burst, so kudos on this one. So what you get hit with when you first put this in the air is a beautifully sweet fragrance, but it almost has like a little bit of a lightness that helps keep this thing just incredibly warm and incredibly inviting, and that's kind of what you get on the nose when you first spray it. So we're going to get into the notes of this one real quick, and the notes that are available online for this are extremely limited. So the only notes that they have put out for this fragrance is the top notes is going to be cardamom, the middle notes is going to be toffee, and believe me, you get a heavy dose of that. This thing is beautiful. And the base notes is going to be amberwood. So you don't really get much of like a woodiness from this, or at least I don't, especially not on the opening. So when you first spray this, when it first hits your skin, you are hit with an intense toffee note. But you know what? That's completely okay, because if you're someone who loves sugary, sweet, gourmand, like almost a mouth-watering style of fragrance, this is going to be right up your alley. So when you first put this on and when it first hits your skin, you are going to be almost overwhelmed with some of that toffee note. Now the toffee note on this is absolutely gorgeous. It is sweet, it's mouth-watering, and like I said, you almost have to be a gourmand lover to love this one. And as far as the profile of this goes, even though it is kind of so based off of that sweetness, there's not really a whole lot of fragrances that's going to smell like this one. I think the one that would probably smell the most similar to this one would be Azzaro Most Wanted Parfum, and that's from this line. So as far as like the creativity side of it, they did a good job on this. But what we're going to get into now is going to be the price, performance, and the availability. So availability wise, most retailers should have this. Most discounters should have this. There was a really weird phase where a lot of discounters didn't have this one or wanted Parfum. They were staying sold out. So as far as sales go, this one is probably going to be a top seller for Azzaro. Now, as far as the price of this goes, brand new from the store, I want to say this is 110. On your average discounter, you're not going to get much of a discount on it. I want to say that I think the cheapest I was able to find this was $79. Still, a little bit of a discount, just not a real heavy one. And then now what we can get into is the performance, and that is where this thing shines. So longevity on this is like 8 to 10 hours. This has beautiful longevity. The sillage on this is monstrous. It is 3-4 foot sillage. This thing just pumps on your skin. Projection as well. The projection is very good. The projection is 1 to 2 feet on this. For this being an eau de parfum concentration, this thing flies off your skin. It leaves gorgeous sillage trails. It falls forward, it falls backwards. Wherever you put this fragrance, you are going to fill that space around you up. And because the performance on this fragrance is so good, that kind of makes me wonder if that's why they leaned into such like a gourmand toffee style of fragrance, is because whenever people smell this, it's going to leave you a little bit of mouth-watering. It's going to be very warm. It's going to be very inviting. This is definitely like a date fragrance. This is going to be a cuddle up fragrance. If you just wanted to lounge around the house and just relax and want to just smell good, this is going to fit that bill. The only drawback to this fragrance is this fragrance does not work well in heat at all. As far as heat performance, this might be the worst fragrance in the whole collection. This thing does not like heat. At least not on my skin, because my skin does warm up pretty easily, and whenever I tried to wear this on a hot day, I knew I shouldn't have, but I did it anyway, and it just did not work well. This fragrance does get a little bit of a synthetic vibe to it, and that syntheticness can kind of make you a little bit nauseous almost, or at least it did to me. But whenever this thing kind of is in its nature, so like say fall, winter, cooler time, stuff like that, This thing smells incredibly natural. I love how perfumers do that. I love how they can make things kind of mold around and smell so different just depending on temperatures and skins and stuff like that. So that's one of those little nerd things that I just kind of like. But as you wear this fragrance for a while and you'll start to get into the deepest parts of the dry down, one of the things you'll notice is some of that amberwood, it kind of softens some of that sweetness just a little. It makes it even warmer. Now the actual like wood note on this isn't very strong. So even all the way into as far as even all the way several hours into the dry down, you're still going to stay very overwhelmingly sugary sweet, a little toffee, a little caramely for a lot of the stuff you're going to get out of it. It's still going to smell natural. It's still going to smell very smooth. Like that's probably one of the best things that I love about this in the dry down is a lot of overbearingly sweet fragrances can sometimes lead to be a little cloying. They can start to get a little harsh. Even though they're sweet, they can start to get like a little harsh on your senses. This one doesn't do that. It stays soft, it stays subtle, but it stays loud while doing so. So the blend on this one was exceptionally well, at least in my opinion. I think probably one of the only things that I might dock this fragrance for is it is incredibly linear. On my skin, there's almost no change. The only real change from when you first put this fragrance on all the way like 3-4 hours into the dry down is it picks up just a little bit of woodiness, and it almost gets just like a hair, just the slightest touch of like an earthiness, almost like a little bit of a vetiverness or maybe a moss or something. But it has just the slightest, tiniest touch of that, and it's very much in the background. But the overwhelming force that you're going to get out of this is going to be very warm. It's going to have a little bit of spiciness to it, but it's going to be incredibly sweet, and it's going to have a lot of that invitingness. You're going to have a lot of that just sweet, smooth, relaxing fragrance. And that's exactly what this one is. It's incredibly relaxing. So if I had to rate this fragrance right now, I would give it a 9.5. The only thing I'm going to dock it for just this much is I do wish there was a little bit more of a change on this. I wish the amberwood was maybe just a little bit stouter. I wish it had just a little bit more of the woodiness to it. Other than that, I really don't think I would change anything. The performance is good. Honestly, for the price point you can get a fragrance like this in, is very good. So shout out to Azzaro for a lot of their pricings, because where a lot of other companies have slowly raised their prices to where, you know, your average designer now is probably 130 to 140. They're keeping all of their fragrances somewhere in that 110 range. So shout out to them. I can get behind that. But I do think that is going to get us wrapped up. I'm going to go ahead and get in this bottle just a little bit. For how blacked out this bottle is, it looks very good, by the way. But for how blacked out this bottle is, it fights with my ring light really bad. But that is going to get us wrapped. As always, thank you everyone for watching. Thank you everyone for subscribing, for sticking around, for staying tuned, supporting the channel, watching the videos and everything. I truly appreciate that. And as always, we'll see you next time.